Hi, everybody. After a long hiatus and break of not recording anything, I have been struck by a bit of inspiration when I listened to this podcast where the lady said, it's all or nothing. It's this or nothing. Meaning, sometimes we want things to be perfect and we basically say we need it to be X, Y, and Z, and it's so much effort and work that we can't stay consistent with it. And so my idea for this podcast / YouTube channel, I actually don't know what this is yet, I'm still just testing and trying, was to be able to upload it on YouTube and so I can monetize it there, have a video, have visuals, have tutorials. And to be quite honest, it's really hard to stay consistent with that while moving countries, while running my entire blog business, while hiring a husband. And I just felt that it was just too much work to keep it consistent, right? But I was like, but then it needs to be good, I need to be professional. And so what happens is sometimes we have this idea of what we want it to look like, right? What perfection looks like, whether it could be with your fitness, with your family, with your health, with your business, with your career. And we set these really high standards, which are not realistic to keep it consistent. If we're doing nothing else, then sure. But if we're balancing a whole other life, then we need to basically do the bare minimum to start, right? And so this is my real example of it's this or nothing, meaning I'm actually recording this on my phone, on my Apple recordings. You can probably hear construction going on in the back and the front. I'm a bit sick. You might hear interruptions, but hey, listen, it's this or nothing at all, right? And I've got to show up in the best way that I can in the limited time I have. And we'll see it being easier if it can work. So in terms of how you can apply that to your daily life, like you might say, I want to work out 3 times a week, and you sign up to ClassPass and you go to the Pilates 3 times a week, and then 4 weeks later you get sick, there's a big project coming up from work, and you're like, listen, I can't do this. It would be much more realistic and easier to be like, okay, I'm going to walk 10 minutes a day. And I can slip that in the morning or in the afternoon or during lunch. And it's much easier to do 10 minutes a day. And obviously you might say, well, that's not really much, but it's either that or nothing, right? And so give yourself permission to do this or nothing. And this could be the bare minimum, okay? Now, I also want to test a format with this. I still don't know what this is. It's a podcast, it's a YouTube channel, I don't know. I wanted to test because I thought, it needs to be valuable, it needs to be valuable, it needs to be valuable. But I found real joy in listening to podcasts that are less business focused, less money focused, less work focused. And they also talk about real life. And because sometimes we just want to switch off. I know that I just want to switch off. Sometimes I get overwhelmed and burnt out. And I've been listening to some podcasts where they just chat shit, really. And they laugh and they talk and they discuss real life. And maybe you're the same. Maybe you're at a break in your life from your business or your work. You just need to switch off. So I'm going to implement elements of real life updates, what's going on, things I think about. And if you find it useful, I'd really love to hear in the comments if you would benefit from that and if you would like that, because I like that. I don't just want to listen to business podcasts all day long. Sometimes I want to switch off. And so I'm hoping that switching up the format a bit here and there, giving updates every week, well, we'll see if we keep this consistent, if that can work for you. So what has been going on this week? What week are we in? So we are in the end of November. And to those that actually don't know, I'm going to give you a bit of a life update, really. Which is a bit nerve-wracking. So I'm actually pregnant, believe it or not. I was very shocked because I was told that I couldn't conceive, right? I had, there's a history of it, is all I'm saying. And I didn't actually plan my life to have kids. My life's pretty full, and I didn't actually, how some people have a yearning to be mothers, and they're amazing mothers, and that's good for them. But I didn't have a deep desire to be a mum. I felt like, my life was pretty full as it was, and when I got the news, I mean, I was told multiple times that there was an issue. I accepted it, and I told my husband, and he was really supportive. And so, to be honest, it wasn't a big deal. And lo and behold, the universe and God and all the things that we believe in, if you want to believe in them, have decided that actually, I'm gonna have a child. I'm gonna have a little girl, believe it or not. So that came as a interesting development. And so I would say I'm heavily pregnant. I'm in my 3rd trimester. All brand new to me. I have, the only baby in our family is my brother's son, my nephew called Noah. He's in France and he's not here, right? So it's all really new to me when, someone's like 3rd trimester, and I didn't even know what the 3rd trimester was. And there's so many things that I am completely grappling with. And you say, ask your mum, but, my mum had kids a long time ago, right? She had kids really early. So I'm just kind of wading through that. And, we've moved countries, we've bought this house, we're setting up in this house, there's a renovation going on, and my husband's, I wanted to test working with my husband for 1 year, so we have more flexibility. We shall see how long that lasts. He might think he may not enjoy working with me. I'm not the easiest person to work with. And it's hard, man. It's hard because I'm so used to working alone, and having to work alongside somebody and train them up and teach them. Woo, every day. That's interesting. But we shall see. We're giving it a year. But what's happened is, right, so, life's going on, we're getting set up, and I insisted, despite being heavily pregnant, before we left Ireland, so I'm in Malaysia right now, I insisted that my husband booked a ticket for Christmas to see his mother. Because I said, if we're doing this, i.e. leaving Ireland, and living in Malaysia, I want it to be fair to your mum, to your family, and Christmas is a big deal to them, so especially to his mum. So I said, I don't know how many Christmases we have left with your mum, right? So every year I want you to go back for Christmas. This year I can't because I'm pregnant, but I made him book his ticket before he left, and he was hesitant. He said, but then you'll be quite pregnant. What if the baby comes early? I said, listen, if you miss the baby's birth, which I hope you won't, it will be for good cause, like if unfortunately, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it just so happens that the baby comes early in December, the baby's due in Jan, if the baby comes in December and you're spending Christmas with your mum, that is a worthy cause. It's for your mum, right? And so I gave him my blessing, and I actually forced him to book it. And I know his mum was like, I'm not sure. And so he was really looking forward to spend Christmas with his mum. And he had booked his ticket. We had booked his ticket to fly on the 10th of December. And at 5 o'clock on the 7th of November, was it the 7th? It must have been the 7th of November, yeah. He came back late. He was playing football with his friends, and he came back late every Thursday. And because of that, we were a bit unsettled. And at 5 o'clock, he got a call. He got 2 missed calls from his brother. And he was going to the loo, and he called his brother back. And he came and he sat on the bed and he said, she's gone. She's gone. And basically, she passed away in her sleep, which is a complete shock because, she was healthy. She didn't have any health issues. She didn't have any history of... It was just totally unexpected. And I really grieve for my husband. I grieve for her, and I grieve for my husband. And, when you love somebody, you feel their pain, And I just saw him as such a loss, That's like, he's a mummy's boy in a nice way, He called it every day. He called his mum every day. And so it's just so painful seeing his face, seeing how lost and alone he looked. And anyway, we booked his ticket then ASAP. The same, we managed to get him on the next flight. And we just went into I just went into productivity mode, helped him pack his bag. Normally, I want him to be self-sufficient and get on with it. You do your own stuff. But this time I kind of felt like he needed me to help, I don't want to be overbearing and be a micromanager, which is why I try and not do too much and be overbearing. But in this time I said, I think I need to step in, and I helped him pack his bag, helped book his ticket, and just tried to be as supportive as possible. And we needed to find a funeral outfit for him and shoes and stuff. And so we did that for the day. And it's been really tough because I had a good relationship with her. I mean, I think we got on quite well. Like any relationship, there were challenges with your mother-in-law, but she was kind to me and I was kind to her. And it's hard. It's really hard because, she was all he had apart from his siblings, and he's going through the motions. And, I saw the funeral online, and just seeing him carry her coffin broke my heart, It really broke my heart. Seeing the love of your life in so much pain. I wanted to take away all that pain and take it for myself, And he's still there, and, he's going to come back on Thursday. But it's going to be hard. There's going to be a huge void. But, while that's going on, so I've been kind of feeling down in the dumps the last couple of days, just going through the motions of grief. It comes and goes, and just feeling sad for the family, really, because it was so sudden. But, she was such a popular woman. Over 500 people turned up for her wake and funeral. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it? But while my husband's been gone, I'm handling the renovation at the back, I'm handling the business, handling the pregnancy, handling immigration. And it's super, super intense because none of these things individually are easy. And I'm doing it all at one time, right? And, like with the renovation, for example, like everyone tells me, like everyone warned me that the renovation is always tough. But it's like, I feel like sometimes they think I'm some dumb woman. I really feel sometimes like that. Like, there was a situation I shared on my Instagram where they came to us and said, because we were going to basically replace the previous door was going to be replaced. They're extending the kitchen, right? So they basically said, we're going to put the old door and make it further. So we use the old door basically, so we don't have to buy a new back door. And they came to us one day, one of the workers, and they were, we were really nice to them. We buy them food, we're kind of really respectful. And he said, I think this door, it will be ruined, and it's not going to be good for the back. I think you should buy a new door because it's breaking. And like, he basically came under the kind of guise of being concerned, right? I was like, that's so nice of him to be concerned. And I was like, how much is it? And it was like an additional 5,000 to 10,000 ringgit, which is what? I don't know. How much is that? $5,000? I don't know. You guys, 5,000, 10,000 ringgit, Google it. And so that's a lot of money. But my real concern was the fact that it would be delayed. The baby is coming in Jan, latest. And I was like, how long will it take for the new door to come? 3 weeks minimum. I said, that's not going to fly with me because I don't have the time. I don't want to have a renovation going on while having a baby crying. So hoo-ha, right? Hoo-ha. Life goes on. And I actually speak a bit of the language. And I actually heard them speaking in the language, and I heard them say, actually, they miscalculated the size of the door and they made a mistake. And they basically didn't want to do the extra work to fit the door in. And when I found out, I got really pissed because it's like, wait a minute, you made the mistake. You fixed the mistake. Why should I have to pay $10,000, 10,000 ringgit and wait 3 weeks for you to... Because you can't be bothered to fix your mistake. So that was a whole drama and a half. So I went in there eventually. I marched in there with my pen and my paper, my big belly, and was like, no, this isn't going to fly. Fix it, right? And I just feel like it sucks that you have to do that to get it done. But that's... And my kind of... I wanted to book time away. And I wanted to maybe book an Airbnb or somewhere away from the dust. There's so much dust. It's bad for my breathing. And I wanted to book time away to be away from the renovation. But now, morning and evening, I have to go and check the work and just check and make sure everything's done. And that's something I have to do. And that's quite heavy on me. And I've been quite sick, really. I've been really quite sick. I've been having asthma at night. It's not good for my health. But anyway, this is just a reality of what you have to do when you're renovating your house, okay? And your husband's away because of a bereavement. So that's going on there. Pregnancy's been interesting. I've been, you know what? I've been really lucky. Despite having health issues and being told that I can't have a kid and having it being a delicate pregnancy, I've actually been quite lucky because, I try and exercise, try and walk, try and do as much as I can. But only now in the last, I think I'm like 31 weeks. For the longest time, I couldn't work out why don't they just say months? Why do we say weeks? I still don't know why they say weeks. Why do I have to say I'm 31 weeks? I'm sure there's a valid reason for it and a logical reason, but I just haven't taken the time to figure it out. So apparently I'm meant to say I'm 31 weeks. But how many months am I? Am I 8 months? I don't know. Like, I just think this whole pregnancy thing is super complicated. Just tell me how many months pregnant I am, and then we'll be done with it, right? So 31 weeks, and I'm definitely starting to feel lack of sleep, because you just imagine, right, having a big bloody balloon, heavy balloon strapped to your tummy, and you're not supposed to sleep on your back. Something new I learned. I can't sleep on my back, bad for the baby. So I have to sleep on my side, and I just feel like a big hippo, and I'm rolling around. And so I wake up a couple of times a night, and, I'm really heavy. And I'm sure this is all very normal, but, I just didn't expect it. So I'm not sleeping as well. And when I love exercising, but I can't as much. I can't run anymore. So when I walk, my back hurts, but I'm still pushing through it. And I'm trying to I've managed to sign up to ClassPass. ClassPass, if you listen to this, you can sponsor me. Which allows me to swim. I can go to swimming pools and swim, and that's really good for my back. But I wanted to give you guys also an update on the bloody immigration system in Malaysia. If you're listening to this, and if you want to marry a foreigner, you want to bring, if you want a spouse visa, this is what we're going through right now. It's incredibly frustrating because, the guy, we did everything right. We actually got an immigration agent who was super useful. And the guy was such a dick. The guy at the immigration counter was so rude to me. He can see that I'm heavily pregnant. He can see that we've done everything right. My husband used to work in Malaysia for 2-3 years, pay tax, law-abiding citizens. And, he talked to me like a piece of dirt. I'm just not used to men talking to me with disrespect. I have a good, healthy amount of respect for men and women. And I talk to people with respect, and they talk to me back in respect. And I don't deal with people, the way my business is set up, I don't have to deal with assholes. That's the freedom of this blogging business, right? I don't deal with dickheads. So when I deal with a dickhead, it really, really surprises me and frustrates me, and I get really taken aback. So anyway, Mr. Dickhead here at the counter, just as soon as he saw our paperwork, he ripped into me and was he had a real issue with my sponsor details, because my sponsor was my cousin, because they didn't accept a bunch of XYZ family members. So my cousin was my sponsor, and she had to give her income proof, which she did. But then on her bank statement, she blacked out all the other transactions except for the revenue, her income coming in, which shows that she got income coming in. And he was like, why does she black out her transactions? Is she a scammer? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, what is your problem? She's showing you the requirement of a certain amount of income coming in. You can see her contract. You can see her pay slips match up to the transaction. What is the issue? And so he from that moment on, he was pissed at me, and he was like, how do I prove that she needs to be with you here? And I said, listen, my cousin is doing me a favor, right? She has a whole husband, a job, and 2 kids. You telling me she needs to come here every time I meet you to get this sorted? He said, yes. He said, I want her birth certificate. I want your birth certificate. I want her dad's birth certificate. I want her to sign. You know what he said, right? Because he's being a dickhead. He was like, she needs to initial every single transaction on her bank statement that she blacked out. What is your problem, right? But it's also the way he was talking to me. It was super disrespectful and just rude, just so rude. Anyway, after the whole ordeal, I had 20 things on my list extra. So we had gone above and beyond for the checklist. We're given everything in the checklist, which wasn't clear, by the way. Got things certified, go to the National Registration Office, got everything. And then after talking to him, 20 extra things that was on the list. And one of them was my cousin needed to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, I feel embarrassed to ask her to do this. She's already ran around the country getting me all sorts of stuff, And so I immediately, give me a second, I've got a bit of a cold. Okay, I just blowed my nose. I gave it a good old blow. What was I saying? Yeah. So basically, he's a bona fide tool. Anyway, so what happened was, after that, after all that checklist, I literally walked away from the desk and burst into tears, because I was like, oh my God, we can't live in Malaysia. My husband can't get a spouse visa. We are screwed. And the immigration agent, the guy, the really sweet guy who was helping us, he was obviously panicking because he sees this heavily pregnant woman burst into tears, just hysterical. And my husband's also trying to tell me to pull it together, woman. And so this is a whole big scene going on there. And so the immigration agent that we're dealing with, he walked back to the counter and was like, he talked to the guy and he's like, listen, my client is a heavily pregnant woman, you know, what can we do? I don't know what he did, but for some reason, the immigration agent liked my immigration, the immigration officer who's working. He seemed to like the immigration agent, the guy that was working with me. And so, like, lo and behold, suddenly, right, you're not going to believe this, guys. He told the guy, you be her sponsor. You can be her sponsor, you know. And somehow it's all turned around and we're still waiting for a result. But all the 20 things that were on the checklist suddenly became like 6. And I don't know what he said to him, but he's now going to be my sponsor. Some random guy who is our immigration agent is going to be my sponsor instead of my cousin, which is just stupidity at its finest. Like, I don't understand the bloody immigration system, how it works. But listen, if it gets our approval, so be it. I'm not going to jinx it. Let's hope for the best. But something that also might actually affect it is, one of the requirements was my husband couldn't leave the country until we got it, right? But he can't not leave the country because his mum passed away. And so, you know, we're kind of wondering, like, what's the effect of that? He has a death certificate. I hope they understand. If they don't understand, they're a bunch of tools. You know what I mean? Like, he can't not go to his mum's funeral. But anyway, my point is, if you guys need advice on immigration, if I get this approved, come to me. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do, who to speak to, because I'm having to go through it at the moment. Now, what is the update on what's going on in my blogs and my business? Well, I'm not as productive as before, understandably. I keep telling myself understandably, even though I don't understand. But I feel like my blogs are just ticking along. I feel I'm leaning heavily on Pinterest and email. Google still being a turd. I think we all experience difficulties with Google. But my blogs are still ticking along and I'm still focusing heavily on Pinterest. But I'm also really conscious that, you know, I'm about to pop out a little baby in January. So I'm trying not to take on too much. And also trying to finish my work as much work as I can now before the baby comes, right? So I'm kind of dealing with that. Like, how can I plan my time so I don't have to work in January and February? So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I've been looking into potentially getting coaching for Pinterest. There was a guy who I saw who's quite good at Pinterest. He's offering, it's quite expensive. It's like $1,000 for 1 hour, but you get access to his membership also. So I'm considering that Pinterest coaching. Just tell me what to do, right? So I can get like lots and lots of traffic income. Or more traffic than what I'm getting right now. And I also saw this girl who offers coaching for hotel collabs. So sponsorship revenue is a big push of ours. That's why I hired my husband into the business. He's a sponsorship manager. We've got a few sponsorship deals. But I would like to also leverage on that in terms of hotel collaborations. But I've done a couple of courses, but I just need someone to tell me what to do, which is why I like coaching, right? Because when I open my coaching, I just tell my students, here's what you do based on my experience and my skills. Here's what you do and how. And that's what I want. I want somebody to tell me, do this, do this, do that. Do this, do this, do that. Just tell me what to do. I'll pay you to tell me what to do. And if somebody's good at what they do and they're confident in their strategies, they will tell you what to do. If they're wishy-washy, that means that they're not confident in their strategies. So that's where I'm at the moment, really. I'm trying to rush as much work as I can so I can take January and February off. I'm trying not to take on too much work, but I just so happen to have a lot of work. I'm trying to maybe see if I can pay for help in terms of a coach to teach me, tell me exactly what to do with Pinterest, tell me exactly what to do with hotel collabs. But I'm also just ticking along. Like, interestingly, you know, email marketing. I'm starting, like, that's a new revenue source for me, like email ads, email recommendations. That's a whole brand new revenue source that I never explored before. So that's ticking along. And money's money, right? It all adds up. And so that's what's been going on, really. Just really hectic, really trying to just hold it together. I've had my moments. But, you know, if you're listening to this, right, just know that the bare minimum is okay sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I said, is it this or nothing? And for me, this looks like maybe ignoring some of my other blogs. It looks like me doing a voice note podcast recording instead of video recording, right? It could look like me ignoring Pinterest for one account. So whatever you need to do to stay consistent, and whatever you can do in your capacity is what you should do, right? It doesn't have to be all the bells and whistles. It's that or nothing. And it's like similarly when it comes to like, even if you have a coaching business or whatever business you have, you've got to show up in the way that you can. So I know a lot of people, like, they do coaching, they offer coaching on the weekend. And I just found that, like, I gave up so many weekends when I was starting my side hustle that I said, I cannot wait to have the weekends off. So now when I have coaching, I don't have, my coaching is available when I do open it once a year, Monday to Friday. It's not available on the weekend. That's it. And people are like, well, you're going to lose clients. Then I lose clients because it's that or nothing. And you've got to tailor your business, because if you don't, you will get burnt out and you won't do it at all. So it's that or nothing, right? And so I guess I want to leave that thought with you about trying your best with the bare minimum and doing that. And if you don't do that, it'll be nothing. But I'd also love to hear if you like this format. It can be a bit rambly, it can be a bit boring, but, you know, just hearing behind the scenes of a real life of running a blogging business, trying to juggle your health, being a partner, real life updates, and how to navigate it. And if there's certain topics you just wanted me to discuss, let me know. I also love to hear in the comments. Like, I wrote a list actually of things that, you know, potentially, like, for example, you know, how did I cut my costs to save enough to buy this house mortgage free? Well, what did I do? Like, there's certain main 3 areas where, you know, where the biggest costs in your life are your transport, your food, and your housing. And when I was, throughout my whole life, I've managed to cut costs on all 3 of those. And, like, you know, I could potentially do a podcast on how did I do that. That's one example. Another one is, you know, relationships. How am I navigating this business, onboarding a new partner? Then there's also business tips, right? Like how I structure my day to be more productive. I don't know how productive I am, but yeah, if you just have a curiosity about, you know, something that you want me to just chat about. If you have questions, actually, I have a lot of the time I have people asking me for questions, advice, and then I send them voice notes. I could actually just share a voice note here. So yeah, that's it really. And if you like this format, if you think it's useful, let me know. And I wish you all a great week.